All right, welcome traders to Momentum Mastery. This course has been bubbling in my subconscious here. We're coming up almost on 2 years of me running this room. So it was time for something a little bit more formal. Before we get started, these are our disclosures. Please read, highlight, annotate carefully. As you go through this disclosure, very, very important. All right. So this is me, JR. I'm the head trader of Newsbeat. Been doing this for a long, long time. I think you all know who I am by now. I think we can reliably skip this slide. So the goal of this course, let's talk about the goal of this course here for a second. So I've been in this room for a while now. Landed in this job by accident. I've been a full-time trader for a very, very long time. And in getting to know you guys and getting to know new traders, I've really come to understand what the big problems are. What the big problems are with trading education in general. And you know, this very, very common trope, you know, all trading rooms and trading educators talk about why traders fail, and people come up with a variety of reasons. They focus on psychology, they focus on methodology, they focus on risk management, and all those things are true. But you know, the underlying big problem I've come to identify over time is that the big reason, the big underlying reason, I think that the big problem that undergirds a lot of those other problems is that, you know, traders learn to trade without an underlying understanding of how markets work. And that's kind of like a structural problem. We should have a drinking game for this course. Let's see how many times JR says context and structure. It's going to be a high count. So people learn a lot about trading strategies and trading setups, but no, you know, the hard part about trading, in my opinion, is understanding the overall mechanics of the market, how the market works, how the market moves. And so people tend to learn a lot about technical analysis without a foundation for the basics of price development, channel development, range development, price cycle analysis. And so when it comes to day trading and swing trading, of course, is ultimately what you're trying to do is capture momentum, right? You're trying to capture moves, which is very time sensitive. You can be right a lot of the time, right, in terms of the idea, but not time your entry properly. How many, like type 11, if this happens to you, you have a trade idea, you have an idea of what a particular instrument is going to do, and you execute the trade, and you get quickly stopped out once or twice, only to see that idea come to fruition fully, and by the time it does, you're a little gun shy. You don't really want to take the trade anymore. Yeah, it's very common. It's very, very common. So one of the key benefits of understanding all of these concepts with a little bit more depth is really putting yourself in a place where you're identifying actionable events and actionable times in the market where capturing momentum is going to be easier. So we're going to focus a lot on that. We're going to talk about identifying levels of liquidity and drawing trend lines and pivots that are actually productive. A lot of people, just based on what I've seen, are really, really good at drawing a lot of lines. And the problem is that the most important thing is identifying the proper lines that are going to be giving you an actionable picture, an actionable trade at the right time. So we're going to talk about drawing those within the right context so that they're actually productive. You know, if you draw, you know, if you draw 100 spaghetti lines all over your chart, eventually some of those are going to be correct. And the problem is that it's just going to lead to a lot of confirmation bias and confusion. So we're going to focus on which lines are most actionable and most contextual to the current structure that's being traded, so it can help identify us and give us a proper roadmap for the potential move ahead. So in terms of where we are, right, what this course is really going to focus on are these things, which are the most important aspects of trading. These three elements: structure, price action, and patterns. We're going to talk a little bit about order flow as well. But the most important things really are understanding how structure, price action, and patterns work together. This methodology, of course, was developed by my mentor, who himself was a disciple of one of the most prolific and important technicians of the 70s and 80s. So I'm very proud of my technical lineage. So let's talk about some important concepts here. So I like to call this the rule of three. For anything to work in the markets, you need to be within the right general context, the right structural context, and the right looking at the right actionable events, right? So there's three possible general contexts at any time in the markets. It doesn't matter if you're trading futures, options, crypto, equities, or ticky-tacky sticks. Prices are in an uptrend, a downtrend, or a range. And then within that, there are structural contexts, which are absolutely key for us to recognize so we can have a proper roadmap, right? So we need to understand phases and structural confirmations within our context, so we know what's more likely to happen. And within that structural context, we need to be very picky about which actionable events, right? Which actions by phase, you know, and those could be schematics, patterns, etc., are actually actionable, and which are just noise. You know, if you look at a 2-minute or a 5-minute or even a 15-minute chart, there can be a lot of noise there. So one of the things I really emphasize in my own trading, and this of course is not something new that I invented, but something that's, you know, comes from a long line of successful traders, is understanding actionable events within the structural context we may find ourselves in. This is another very important recurring concept that you're going to see again and again in this course. The procedural OODA loop and the bias pyramid, right? So the bias pyramid finds the context, the structure, the price action, and from there we derive an actionable roadmap. And then the procedural OODA loop. How do you guys like these graphics? Not bad for a guy that still can't program a VHS, right? So the procedural OODA loop is the decision-making process whereby we actually procedurally analyze our context. We analyze all variables in real time. We find actionable price areas. We extrapolate those price areas into trade ideas, and we take actionable steps to create and then manage a position, right? There's a lot of emphasis in the trading world in terms of setups. Very few people talk about how to extrapolate a position and then manage it once the trade goes through. So, we find context, right? Trend or range, and then very quickly we extrapolate a bullish or bearish context right here. We look for structures, we look for price action confirmation, and we derive a roadmap. Very good. So we're going to be talking a little bit about Wyckoff analysis in this course. It's no should be no surprise to anyone that I'm a pretty old school trader. I like to use things that have worked for 100 years or more, and I'm very partial to Richard Wyckoff's take on the market. Now, I trade myself a modern adaptation of the Wyckoff method. I find that people who are dogmatic about trading schematics and things like that are getting it wrong. So I trade the Back to the Future version of the Wyckoff method, right? We use volume profile, we use modern labeling, we use advanced price action methodology. I'm a big fan of the Al Brooks method of price action. We use order flow and advanced line construction, which are all benefits of modern methodology. So for us, trading a more modern version of the Wyckoff method includes using all of these tools at our disposal, right? We don't need to use point and figure charts anymore. We have volume profiles. We have very advanced charting tools, a very solid grasp of price action, and fantastic order flow tools that allow us to really take advantage of these methodologies.